Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Heartbeats of Adapted PE podcast. I'm your host, Jen Hebank. I teach full-time DAPE or Developmental Adapted Physical Education in Minnesota, about 40 minutes outside of the Twin Cities in Minneapolis or outside of Minneapolis. And what I want to share with you is this episode 8, a little background before we get into our main message here on the podcast. Our mission here at Heartbeats of Adapted PE podcast is to inspire, connect, and amplify adapted PE teacher voices and those who support all students. And the vision behind that is that we celebrate the heart, which is the storytelling, and the beat, which is the daily rhythm of our essential field. And so when you put those things together, boom, it's the Heartbeat of Adapted PE podcast. We're excited to have you today. This is a one-time per month, not-for-profit podcast. And what I love about it is that it's made by me, a teacher, obviously, and I interview teachers and people who support all students. And so it's not like consistently on the same day every month because I work with teachers. And so we do our podcast when it works for us. And so it's just anytime throughout the month, a podcast might be released. And so we want to share what's happening here and how it is brought to you. So Fit and Fun is our podcast. Oh my gosh, the word is they're supporting our podcast. Oh my goodness. For the 25-26 school year, the podcast year, and their mission is a lot like ours, where they like to support all people who support students and people of all abilities. And I actually did a podcast with them earlier. Episode 3 has Pam Gunther from Fit and Fun Playscapes. So they are our support for this year. And I have to tell you that in the last episode, I had this podcast in my head, and I was going to bring a parent on here to tell a story, and it was a great story, but it just didn't work out. And so I needed to be a little bit flexible. And to be honest, it worked out so well because this podcast idea was always in the back of my head, right? Annika Culver is our guest today. And what I have to tell you is that she is a young teacher, but she is doing amazing things that have inspired me and inspired a lot of people in our field across the state of Minnesota. And she's an awesome leader. She is also the 2025 MNSHAPE Young Professional and the current MNSHAPE President. So I'm going to bring her on.
Hi, Jen.
Here we are. Hi, welcome. How's it going?
Thank you. It's going well. How are you?
Good. I want to start today by asking you about just your story. How did you land here?
Yeah, so
background.
I always knew I kind of wanted to be a teacher. I think my earliest memory of this was in kindergarten. I had a friend, his name is Taryn, and I taught him how to draw a star because I'm pretty artistic, and that's kind of my thing. And I taught Taryn how to draw a star, and it was that light bulb moment where he finally got it. I was like, wait, that was really fun. That was so fun, like teaching someone that they didn't know what to do, teaching them how to do it. And then when they finally got it, they were so excited about it. So that was my first, like, oh, this could be a thing. And then I just feel like I kept building on it. I would always play school with my sister. I was always the teacher, but it was like fun creating us like worksheets and creating like the calendar and just always playing school in the basement. So that kind of that was my early stages of wanting to be a teacher. And then
I love that you like had a moment and it was so young for you. You're like, hey, that's fun. Teaching is fun.
It is so fun.
I love that. So I love that your passion for adapted PE came from just a personal experience in high school. Before we get to like that class, we're going to talk about it. This was not on the agenda. Sorry, I'm just jumping. But what was your interactions with people with disabilities before that class? Had you had any interactions, or was that like your first interaction with a person with a disability?
Yeah. I remember in school, there were kids in my classes, but I would say like once we got older and you got to pick your electives, there was not as many opportunities where I would be in classes with my peers that had disabilities. And so I just feel like as I got older, those things didn't happen as often. And then in my personal life, I just felt like there wasn't a lot of people like that in my personal life. And so I was very thankful for that class and for that experience. Otherwise, I just, you feel like you don't know what you don't know. And when you're in a setting like that, you're like, wow, I didn't realize all this great stuff came with like working with people with disabilities.
Yeah. So share a little bit, because you were in kind of a cool opportunity where unified PE was not a thing yet. Can you describe what unified PE was like with the Lisa Smith and what made that so special?
Yes. I remember Lisa coming to me. She's like, hey, I have this idea. I'm trying to figure out what it's going to look like, but you need to be in this class. And prior to this class, so it was my senior year, or I was going into my senior year of high school at Proctor. And previously, Lisa, or in this instance, Miss Smith, she was my seventh grade basketball coach. And so she has known me since I was a awkward middle schooler, and then was like my general PE teacher. She was my health teacher for a while. And so we had a growing relationship. And so she came to me and was like, this is the plan. This is what I want to do. Here's my thinking. We're going to pilot it. We're going to learn as we go, but you're going to be in the class. And I was like, that sounds perfect. I can't wait. And so that's how the conversation started and went about. The first year that we did it, there was Miss Smith. She like hand selected 10 neurotypical students. So there was like 10 seniors, and then it was her adapted PE students. We were all in our unified PE class. And before we got to work with our peers, we spent a couple of weeks about just like learning who they were and what to expect from class, which was, I think, very valuable. But honestly, the hands-on work and actually playing with my own classmates was when I learned the most about them and who they were and what they were interested in. And then the first year, I think what really solidified my decision to be a teacher, and then even more so like a PE and DAPE teacher, like I was like, Miss Smith, I want to be like you, we each got a chance to plan our own lesson for one of our unified classes. And I just remember having so much fun with that and getting to be creative and thinking like, okay, who's my audience, right? Who's in the classroom with us right now? And so being really intentional with the planning, I think was a really big sticking point for me. Like that was really fun. And just being able to be creative and make something for my classmates that we all got to have fun in was probably one of my favorite parts.
I love that. And of course, Lisa Smith was the 2025 Shape America High School Physical Education Teacher of the Year and was a guest on this podcast a couple episodes ago. So fun to have you both on here. And just recognizing the very special opportunity and thing that you didn't even expect this, but you were some of the very first students to ever take unified PE in the state of Minnesota. And in talking with Special Olympics, I joined Lisa. I was I think I was like the 5th teacher in the state of Minnesota. We now have like close to 400 people teaching unified PE across the state of Minnesota. And so Lisa was definitely one of those pioneers. And for a while, like her and I would talk and be like, we're in the Wild West. Like we're figuring this out as we go. But we know that it's working. And so it was such a cool time to be alive because things are kind of shifting. And the fact that, when someone like you comes in and they get so much out of it and they decide like, I think I kind of want to do this. Like we know that we're doing our job, and, you're going to be one of those teachers that people come up to you and say, hey, I'm a teacher. I'm this because of you. So it's going to be awesome. And you teach both regular, or what we call general PE. We don't want to use the word regular because then it's regular versus irregular. General PE at Cornelia, and adapted PE. So what about unified PE class kind of pushed you into being able to do both, do you think? What helped you? How does that influence your teaching today?
Yeah, I think just having that perspective of everyone deserves to have fun while playing, and everyone deserves to be included in on the fun, I think really helps guide my planning when I'm planning lessons. So more specifically, I teach all 4 of our kindergarten sections of PE and all 4 of our first grade sections of PE. And so I just feel like I have, like I'm their first like structured PE experience for my general PE classes. And how can I make it inclusive in a way that they're all having fun, they're seeing their friends having fun, and they're not seeing any of their classmates like sitting out or not being able to participate or only working with a para. Like I really try to avoid those things. And to do that, I always think about how can I plan a lesson where there's always that right fit challenge for kids. Like you get to choose your challenge. I'm having equipment available that anyone can use, whether you're my gen ed student or you're my adapted PE student. Like this is available to anybody. So then when the students who might need it a little bit more choose to grab it, they're not feeling like on this island, like I'm the only one who needs this equipment. Like it's available to everybody. And so really, really thinking about like, if there's a game where you're earning points, like how am I tallying points up at the end? I always do like our mystery color winner, or if we have something with numbers on it, I have like a mystery number winner instead of saying whoever has the most, because then like whatever people earn during the game, like everyone can feel like they have success, whether they earned 3 of something or their team or them individually earned 10 of something. Like there's a chance for everyone to win or be a part of the game in that way.
Yeah, I love that you kind of have some favorite ways that you're able to include all students. And I'm wondering, without sharing names, can you just share a moment where you saw the power of inclusion in action? So if there was a student, without sharing names, without sharing confidential information, that had a breakthrough or like a really special moment that kind of just sticks with you, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, I think this moment didn't necessarily happen in my class, but I got to see it firsthand with like the students from our class. So I went to go and do an observation on our playground. And while I was outside, I saw, we jokingly call them like their little girl posse. There was this one student. So at Cornelia, we have 2 like site-based or center-based classes. And there was a student who was just leading all of these girls around the playground. We're pointing, we're playing, they're following, and they were all in like the same gen ed class together that year. And they were just following them around the playground. They were laughing. They were on like the merry-go-round together, like pushing them around the merry-go-round, like literally the entire 20-minute recess. Like those students were choosing to play with that student from their class. And at the time, that student, like a lot of the times that they were with, their gen ed class was like morning meeting and their specialist classes. So just knowing that that relationship was really built, like in PE or in music or in art. And when they had the chance to be with their peers was like such a positive experience that, they chose to spend their entire 20 minutes at recess playing together. That's awesome. It was really fun to see.
So I was just thinking, like, as I was asking you this question, I had a moment like this. And we've been doing volleyball. We do volleyball. We do like a recreation skill on Mondays, stations on Wednesdays. So it was like a really organized routine, right? In my middle schoolers. And I had a student who he needs every single skill like broken down until he gets it, and then he gets it. So there's so much potential there. But he had been watching volleyball, and then we've really been working. I started using Mylar balloons. Do you use Mylar balloons?
I
Okay,
love
it was
that.
in your session, I think, that that I was like, I need, like, it's been in the back of my head forever, but I finally bought Mylar balloons, and that was just such a big game changer. I think I'm getting rid of all my beach balls. Maybe I'll say
And they
so.
last so much longer too. Like beach
Yeah,
balls,
yeah.
not my favorite.
And you can refill them.
Yes.
Anyway, so like we broke that skill down, like physically would hold the arm up, and then like he would visually track and then hit it, right? And pretty soon, the end of our unit, we had everybody join, and instead of using so the way that I play volleyball is with like large playground balls. And those are just really fast, and they're really fun and slow things a little bit down for combination play. But for our kids that really need it slow down, I just hadn't found a great thing. And so Mylar balloons. Anyway, so we had everybody join. Instead of using the big playground balls, we just played like balloon ball. And the Mylar balloons have like the perfect weight. And like he has to sit on a ball while he's playing volleyball, otherwise he'll get up and wander. But the balloon just his arms were up, and he was bouncing, and the balloon came, and he happened to just like whap it, and we're like, oh yeah, you hit it, like during a game. And we just thought it was like a one-off, but like 30 seconds later it came again, and he hit it again, and we're like, we just like doubly
Like,
he's getting it.
Yes.
And so like those moments where it kind of just all comes together, and it's just like, oh, this is why I do this. And now that kid like has an opportunity to connect with other people through recreation, leisure, and through volleyball, and have something to talk about. And like maybe later in lunch, his friends come up to him and say, hey, I saw you hit that Mylar balloon today. Like, nice job. Just gives them a nice like social piece to connect on.
Absolutely.
And so I love those. Another one, I want to share another one. But we used to do swimming at the middle school, and this kid came in 6th grade and like didn't know how to swim, and we worked it. And finally, like 3 weeks left to the unit in 8th grade, I turn around during warm-ups and he's swimming. And I was like, you're swimming.
This is the moment.
Oh, yes. And so, yeah, so I feel like sometimes we get these moments as adapted PE and general PE teachers where all of a sudden it clicks, and you know that kids, you know, life is just going to change a little bit for the better because they have that opportunity to move, right?
It's always cool too when it clicks, like something you were practicing in your small group, and then it clicks when they're in like their general PE. And I've had paras like send me like, oh my gosh, you're never going to believe what they did in class today. And I was like, oh, finally they did it. And I think the best is when that skill transfers into the large group. Like they got it so much that they were able to do it while playing the game with their peers. I'm like, that's it. Yes. That's the gold.
That's one. Okay, just a side note. Can you share a little bit about, because you went to Winona, right?
I did, yeah.
Winona State. Can you share a little bit about like your favorite highlights from going to Winona? I was a River Falls Falcon, but like Winona is pretty great and always goes to the conferences. I just want you to share a little bit to highlight Winona.
Oh, good old Winona. Through like the major, we did so many like fundraisers for like health and PE majors. So we're able to go to the conferences. And so I think my favorite memory is when at the time I was the president of our clubs, because I have to be involved in everything. And we got, I think it was like 15 people to go to the national conference in Florida.
That's huge.
It was so much fun. We stayed in this Airbnb that was maybe not in the greatest location, but like we shoved too many people in this Airbnb, but just like spending quality time with people who are also excited about like your learning and just like makes the experience way more fun. I think that was probably my top moment. But yeah, Winona, I felt like I came into the program when it was like getting like, it's always been a good program, but just like bringing in like Dr. Malley and Dr. Martinez and Felix and like all of those really great PE people, I think made that experience amazing. Like learning not only how to like learning about your content area, but then how to teach your content area, like in action, I think really set me up for success. Like it was always like an aha moment almost every day in class. Like, oh, that makes sense. And then it was like the moments where like, oh, that makes sense why my teachers did it that way when I was a student. Like, it just like, it's all coming together now.
There it is. That makes sense. I know, like, whenever you guys come out, whenever the Winona kids come out, it's going to be a fun time because they're just all in 100% of the time. And they're higher ed people. Christy, I love Christy. They're all like so excited to bring you guys, or your alumni, not you anymore. You're lovely, graduated and teaching, but just so excited to bring their future professionals. And I just think the networking that comes out for Winona kids and anyone who is a college kid is just so good for them to connect with their future colleagues. And so I think it's so great. Probably a lot of hard work to like fundraise, but man, doesn't it just pay off?
Oh, it's so worth it. Yeah. We did so many presentations to get money from like the school board who like funds clubs. Like it was a lot of work, but obviously it was worth it because now I can't stop going because it's just so fun. And I was like, I don't want to miss out on going to any more national conventions.
Yeah. Right. Major FOMO. I've been to a few, and like this last one in Baltimore, we'll get to Baltimore in a little bit, but I did so much and I just know I'm going to have so much FOMO because I can't go this year. It pains me. So they're just good every time. It's almost like a family reunion now. Like, so many people. It
really is.
It just feels like family. And so Annika, you've been teaching only for 4 years. So you're still like what I would call a rookie teacher. You're almost a veteran status. Not quite. You're getting there. So I always talk about rookie teachers and veteran teachers and how we can help each other. But you've only been teaching for 4 years and you're already been so involved with MNSHAPE. And you are the current president of MNSHAPE, which I think is just mind-blowing because what I knew as a 4-year teacher, man, I didn't have the maturity or like the knowledge. And so you've just been so involved ever since your college years. And so I kind of want to talk about that now. So I know you're involved with the MNSHAPE board and now serving as president. How has been part of that organization shaped your perspective on the future of PE in Minnesota across the country and across the country?
So I started on the board as like the future professional VP. And that was my sophomore year of college. And then I've been on it ever since in like various roles. And I just love like learning like the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I think that's learning the behind the scenes stuff and like why these things go into decisions or how did we get to that point, I think really informs you not only how when you're like sticking up for PE and, like, oh, I'm a PE teacher, not a gym teacher. Like, I think that really informs like those kinds of conversations and just like planning. And I don't know, I've always liked to learn like the behind the scenes stuff just to make more informed decisions, whether that's like me and my coworker, her name is Ann Thompson.
We love Ann Thompson.
We love Ann Thompson. Her and I both co-lead our PE PLC for like the elementary PE teachers in Edina. And I just think that having all of this other knowledge from MNSHAPE, it's like allowed us to bring like innovative stuff to our PE PLC and just to be able to share all of that knowledge with people. I find it really exciting. Obviously, that's like why I became a teacher, to share all this stuff I know. But I think that's really helped in that sense too. But yeah, I feel like there was in college, I worked, this is like my comparison to it. In college, I worked as a waitress and there was a little, like 3 months during our slow season, I told my boss, I was like, hey, I kind of want to work in the kitchen. And she was like, you want to go and work in the kitchen? I was like, yeah, like, I feel like it's going to make me a better server to know how all the food is made. So I was back in the kitchen and I started as the fryer girls. And I was like, I got these fries down. Like, I know how to do all this stuff. And then like being a part of the kitchen staff, like then you were the dishwasher and I was doing that too. And then they started trying to move me up to like plating and the grill. And I was like, I think this is where my skills tap out.
And done.
But bring that up because like comparing it to being on these different boards and stuff, like I had that knowledge, like, okay, I actually know when someone asks me like, oh, what's on that burger? Like I can actually give them an honest answer. Or like when I'm clearing off plates and I'm stacking plates for the dishwashers now, like I know what it's like when people don't clear their food off. Like I'm going to be really intentional about doing that because I've been on the other side. So that was,
I love that like little metaphor of like, this is PE and this is behind the scenes. And I love like the metaphor of like being a server and then like getting to know what's in the kitchen. And then like, I feel like you become a better communicator, right? You come out, you know exactly what's going on and you know the reason. So if someone asks you, you can say, well, this is why it's like that. Right? So cool. That's really great. I love that. I love that. So just thinking about, like we just talked about Shape Baltimore for a hot second, but what is your, so just thinking about all the experiences you've had at conferences, are there any moments that actually stick out and like stick with you from previous conferences?
From previous conferences, I think like Baltimore being still kind of previous, but I presented 2 sessions at Baltimore. And I think leading up to that, I was like, no one really wants, like, I'm still so new. Like, what do I have to share? But then like, even you, I know, I think I've had conversations like that before with you, Jen, and you're like, anything that's going well for you is worth sharing because maybe that'll help somebody else. Like you never know what someone else needs help on. So I think that really stuck with me. Like, okay, I do have good ideas. I do like what I'm doing in my space and I want to share that. And so like the first presenting at Baltimore was an amazing experience and just the connections that came from, or like presenting an activity session and we had like over 50 people in there. I was like, out of all the sessions that Baltimore has to offer, like all of these people want to come and, you know, see what Lisa and I are presenting on. I think that was a really validating experience. A session that I attended that really stuck with me from Baltimore was Brad's session with the date bucket. That was a really good one. And it was so good. I brought it to our DAPE team back in our school district. And I was like, we need to do this. It's so like beneficial. And we made a list of stuff. We asked our SPED department. They approved it. So now all of the schools in Edina have this like adapted PE bucket that lives in our gyms. And the gen ed teacher or the pair is in the space. It's like a quick grab. Oh, this student needs this. And I could just grab quick from this bucket and adapt it as we're moving. So that was the one that obviously still sticks with me from the Baltimore session.
I love it. I love Brad. Okay, here's a story. I haven't told this yet, but when I got to Maryland, I like knew him. He was one of my friends that I knew ahead of time and never had met in person. And he goes, "I'll take you out and we'll go get some Maryland crab." And I was like, "Okay," like because I like crab. Maryland crab is different though the little small crabs. So we like went up Federal Hill and I thought we'd like eat a crab and then like leave, but no, they like give you a bucket of crabs and you sit there for like an hour and a half. It is an experience and you like crack it and eat it and then you get to the next one. And after a while, I'm like, okay, I think I've had my fill.
I've had my fair share of crabs. Thanks.
Yeah. And so it was so good to like meet him. He was like one of the Twitter people I had followed for a while. X now, not Twitter. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. But he also came to MNSHAPE and did the bucket. And so he and the Teachers of the Year had come and done that too. But just those connections were so fun during Baltimore. For me, I did I did 2 sessions with Dr. Megan Johnson. One was 50 hacks in 50 minutes. And like we took that because that was a packed house. I don't know if you were there for that. Did we present at the same time, or were you there?
I think we presented at the same time, but I went to that session at MNSHAPE this year because I was like,
Yes.
I missed that. I need I was taking vigorous notes.
Yes.
Yes, Jen, thank you.
Yeah. So like I don't know where it came. I think Jessica Matheson had done like 50 health hacks in 50 minutes or health education hacks in 50 minutes. And I was like, you know what? I think this could work for adapted PE. And so and it went so well. And Megan and I work so well together. I always say I'm like the dreamer and she's like the brains where all the details come together, right? So we make a really good team.
That's me and Ann Thompson. I'm like, I have all these ideas. And Ann's like, logistics. And I was like, yes, I do that too.
Yep. And so we went so well. We're like, let's take this show on the road. So we did that MNSHAPE, we did that MNSHAPE. And if there ever comes up an opportunity to go elsewhere, we're definitely going to do that. We also did one on supporting student teachers, which was very small, but also the conversations in there were really good. And then I did one. Oh, I wish we could get these guys to MNSHAPE with Maddie B and Megara. And we did, I can't remember what it was actually called, but we adapted at every level and support, like, how do you support and adapt at every level? And that room, it was like a ballroom and it was packed. And what was wild is that I had like my professors from University of South Carolina attended, and I had never met them in person.
That's cool.
Yeah, so one of them was there, and it turned out to be like the coolest session because we like ended up coming up with all these new games that were unexpected. With that, the biggest thing that I took away was that that we can have an idea. We kept like running into this wall. We're like, what do we do? What do we do with this? And it turned out that we just needed to let the attendees do something with it. Like create the framework and have them create what happens after we give them the framework. So it was cool. It was something that we had never done before. But yeah, Shape Baltimore is great. Shape NOLA is when I got my award. That was another one.
Yeah.
So I feel like every convention has its own like personality and memories. And so I just wish I could go to more.
Yes. Yeah, I would say, I think I was there at New Orleans when you won. And that was my first conference where I wasn't going with Winona because at that point I had graduated. And that year, I don't think Lisa could go. And usually, like, I would stay with Lisa. And so Megan McCullum took me under her wing. And she's like, these are all these, like, really impressive people I'm going to introduce you to. And I was like, Megan, I feel like I'm meeting all these celebrities. Thank you so much. But, like, this is so overwhelming. But that was my big thing in New Orleans was, like, meeting all, like, the PE celebrities. I was like, wow, I've seen a lot about you guys.
I love it. Can you still hear me? Okay, I hit a button on my microphone, so I just want to make sure you can still hear me.
Yes,
are you good? Okay, good. Yeah, I feel like when we go to convention, there's always people that you've seen on social media. And you're like, oh, it'd be really great to like meet them in person. They put out like good lessons or good ideas or good hacks. And you're like, man, I use so much of their hacks. It'd be nice to like thank them in person, you know?
Yeah.
So absolutely. So just thinking about being like a newer rookie teacher, like your first year of teaching, I was excited to ask you this question about what do you think young teachers like yourself need from veteran teachers like me? Like what helps?
That's a really good question. So my first year, I was actually itinerant. So I was traveling between buildings. So I was at one building in the morning for adapted PE, and then I would come to Cornelia, and then I would teach my gen ed classes in the afternoon. And then the next morning I would start at a different school and do adapted PE, and then I would come back and like always end my day at Cornelia. And so not only was I learning how to be a new teacher and a first year teacher, but I was learning what it meant to like teach in multiple buildings and like who are my touch points that I can go to for different stuff. I feel really very grateful that, you know, I work with Anne, and she had been an itinerant teacher before. Like she was a day teacher for a while. Now she teaches our 2nd through 5th grade gen ed classes, but she was a huge help. Like, and I think what made her so helpful was she was a sounding board all the time, which I think is what you should expect. Like if you're going to be a mentor teacher for a first year teacher. And I mean, I'm not scared to ask questions. So I will literally ask any question at any point. And so Anne was always like really patient, and she would like listen thoroughly to all my questions, and she would give me good feedback. She wouldn't, and I appreciated that she wasn't ever trying to like sway my opinion. She would always just give me the facts of the matter. And then I kind of got to make my own decision from there. And so I just appreciate that she still guided me, but then didn't always like, she never told me what to do. She still like let me have that autonomy over my decisions, obviously, but I don't know. She just answered all of my questions and, never got annoyed with me, thankfully.
Yeah. She's so great. I served with her when she served on the MNSHAPE community or MNSHAPE leadership committee. And she just always had like the best wisdom, and just really enjoyed working with her. We did get a comment, so I'm going to bring it forward. Do you have a friend named Alexis?
I do.
Look at that. She says, and now Annika, sorry, I have a note in here to like, it's Annika, not work Annika. Annika is a PE celebrity. She's been learning from the best. Absolutely agree.
Thanks
Alexis. Take that down for us. So Anne is pretty great, and she would always put on great sessions at MNSHAPE too. What do you think the hardest part of being a new teacher is?
The pressure of feeling like I always had to say yes to stuff. Like when like administrators would come to me about stuff, or, people in the school would come, like always wanting to say yes. And I know if I really needed to, I could always say no to, but I wanted to say yes to always make a good impression on stuff. And so I felt like I overfilled my plate at times, and just it being a learning curve as a new teacher and feeling like I needed to say yes. And I also felt like I really set my standards really high my first year of teaching. So I was like doing all this stuff, and I was like, oh, I have to do that again next year and top it the year after that. And so I really set the bar high for myself my first year, and feels like I have to always reach that or do better than that, which I know is not true, but me just trying my best will be the best. Period.
Exactly. Sometimes, like I had super high standards and really like burnt out real fast, like needed the summer to be like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
But I do feel like you kind of learn like where you can just take up space and where you need to reach and go hard over the years. And maybe that just comes with being like a veteran, but it is like a hard lesson. Like for me as a new teacher, I had to figure out, because I was in 2 buildings, I was also kind of itinerant, but I had to figure out how 2 buildings worked as far as like how do kids get scheduled in classes, who are the pairs for those kids. And I can't just take a kid when it works for me. I have to take their schedule and make it work for them.
Yes.
And like doing that for 2 different buildings, like, why doesn't it just work the same for every building? And it just makes it easy. And like, it's just not that way. But I think for me, trying to figure out who I can really like run to for help, because like, I think coming out of college for me, I felt like I like knew everything. And then I quickly, probably within the first 2 weeks, I'm like, I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing. And I still like, I'm 16 years in, I still don't know what I'm doing sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yep. It's just a word to the wise. Sometimes you still don't know what you're doing, and that's okay.
And I would say too, being an itinerant teacher and a newer teacher, and like trying to, like when you brought up scheduling kids, this is what made me think of it, but having to have maybe sometimes like difficult teaming conversations with their case managers and saying like, this is the only time I can be here in this really small window of time because I have to travel. Like, I am so sorry, but they have DAPE on their IEP and I need to see them. Here are the options. Like, we got to figure out how can we make this work? And so having to navigate like kind of harder conversations too my first year, like I think really helped in my learning and my growing. And also when you mentioned your second week of like teaching, you didn't know everything. I definitely had a student like run away from me at school. So like I definitely got the whole like experience. I was like, a lot of this stuff happened. Now I know what to do and what not to do from like my first year of teaching.
Yep. Yep. You get some of those experiences, but then they kind of stick with you. And then sometimes like 10 years down the road, it'd be like, oh, that was actually kind of funny when like I didn't know what I was doing, but man, it was a good learning lesson.
Yes. Yep. Honestly, now I can look back and be like, you know what? That was kind of funny how it happened. But
yep. Okay, so who are the people that poured into you as a future professional and a young professional? And what would you say to them? This is your chance.
Oh, I appreciate this chance. I would say like my big one would be Lisa Smith. I mean, once I told her that like we had that conversation where I said, I want to be like you. Like I want to do this. What do I do? And I remember at that time, I love my mom for this. We did like 8 different college tours. Like she took me all over Minnesota and the Midwest, touring college after college. And I was like, this just doesn't feel like the right fit. And at the time I thought I wanted to like run track at a few different schools. And I had offers to like run track at a few different schools, but I was like, but I want to be a good teacher and I want to go to a school with a really good teaching program. So that's what's important. And I remember sitting down with Lisa in her office and she's like, you're going to go to Winona. Here's who you're going to meet. Here are the things you're going to be involved in. Like then you're going to come to MNSHAPE. You're going to go to the conferences. Like you're going to get involved. Like here are the people you need to meet when you get there. And she was like, you need to meet Christy Malley. Like here are all these people from Winona that you need to meet. Connie Mattil, she was one of my health professors. Michelle Dars, like you need to go and introduce yourself. And so I think having that blueprint and here's what you need to do guide really, really set me up for success. I mean, I could have easily just been like, oh, thanks, Lisa, and not done anything, but I was definitely determined to do all of the things. And if I wanted to be great like she is, and she was from my eyes as a senior in high school, like obviously I need to kind of like follow this guide that she gave. And then at Winona, like my professors, like Connie Mattil, Michelle Darst, Christy Malley, Manny Felix, like I just think they really pushed me and my learning, and like they believed in me. I remember this moment where we were taking one of Christy's classes and we had to like deconstruct the benchmarks and then you had to write your objectives. And I just was like putting off submitting this assignment and I was not doing it. And she like called me in her office and she's like, what's going on? I was like, I'm afraid of failing. And she's like, you have to just start it so I can help you. And if you don't start somewhere, then I don't know where I can help you. She's like, you just gotta like put something on the paper. Let's figure out what you do know. And then we can get you to where I want you to be or what needs to be. And so I remember sitting down in her office and saying, there's going to be a lot of new learning and you just need to be okay with like failing and trying. And that's how you're going to learn. And I remember after finally like filling out that worksheet, I was like, oh, this stuff just clicks and it makes sense. And lesson planning and making all these connections and deconstructing the benchmarks, like that just, it clicks in my brain. So it made so much sense, but it wasn't at first and I just had to do it. So shout out to Christy for really pushing me and saying, you can do those hard things.
And truly, like, I feel like not all professors are going to be like that. And that's what makes Christy so special is that she is willing to have those hard conversations, but also say, I'm here for you. Like, I'm supporting you. And when you fail, I will help you. And how much do we take that and apply it to our students too? Like we take those situations or like, I need to be that for some of our students because they're going to feel like they're going to fail and they need to know it's okay to fail. Right.
I definitely have some kids in my class that will go, Miss Culver, I can't do it. And I was like, you can't do it. We're going to practice. We're going to keep practicing and you will be able to do it. I said, this is your first time doing it. I couldn't do it my first time, but now I can. So yeah, I've had that experience with my own students and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was like this too.
Wait a second. This feels familiar.
This feels, full circle.
Full circle. Okay. So I left a little bit of time here and I kind of just said, if you have any questions for me, because we don't get a chance to like sit down and talk like this all the time.
I know.
It's good. I just wanted to ask if you had any questions for me, like ask me anything. Is that what they do on Instagram? Ask me anything.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Because we don't get a chance to just sit and chat. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, I think like to kind of go along like the theme of my story, like having that like mentor teacher, and then now being on the board with her and like doing presentations with Lisa, who I'm referring to. Like she was my teacher and first my basketball coach. But have you ever had one of those full circle moments where like you had a student in class and then like you're like, wow, you're gonna go into like be a PE teacher, you're gonna like, have you ever had one of those full circle moments, and what did you feel about it?
Yeah, I actually work with one. She was in my first or second unified class, kind of like you. And her mom was actually my colleague, and I worked with her for a really, really long time. And her mom recently retired, and she took the job, the girl that was the unified partner. And so she's getting her DAPE license right now, and going through all that. And so it's something to teach your student, have your student. I don't think she chose to be a PE teacher because of me. I think it's because of her mom. Obviously her mom's pretty great. And she had to kind of go on this journey herself to figure out like, hey, yeah, actually DAPE is kind of the thing I want to do. But to have her come into the interview and you get to interview your former student for the job, and then to be able to congratulate her afterwards and be like, you're going to be my colleague, and I'm so excited for it. That was pretty special. And I think as humans, we get the opportunity to like do a lot of things and feel every single emotion. And teaching your student and then becoming their colleague is pretty cool. So similar to like you and Lisa, she's kind of my you. But I also think thinking back to like the national conventions and stuff too, when you go to your own state conferences, like people come and present and like you get to know them, they're like your celebrities or whatever. There is this moment like at every DAPE conference where I took a picture of each of the national teachers of the year for like years and years and years. And then all of a sudden in 2022, I was it. And I took a picture just like me. I was like, what is happening? And like, I'm the national teacher at my own like conference. Like,
yeah.
So you like have these, you have like these full circle moments of teaching your students, and they become amazing people. And sometimes our students go off and we don't know where they go or what they do, but sometimes you're lucky enough to like get a chance to see them and know what they're up to, and or teach with them or be their colleague. But then you also have these professional opportunities to go to these conventions and conferences, and sometimes those full circle moments happen for you, bam, like that. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, that was really cool. I did not expect that. So I'd say those were some of my kind of full circle moments as you asked about. Do you have any other questions for me? We got a little bit more time.
What has been your favorite part about doing your podcast so far?
Oh, I think just the learning. Going from a dream. Again, I always have like the dreams that are like these dream bubbles, but I never have like the details of the treasure map. And I think like it came together so fast with the people I worked with. Dr. Guy Danhoff, who does this kind of stuff, communications is his thing. And he just told me this is exactly what you need to do. And I just like followed what he did, and then I did it. And I have people who have a board. So Dr. Megan Johnson, Justin Lund, and Jessica Matheson. And so people to like help direct, and Jordan Manley. But they are like, I realize like they're all the detail people, and I'm just like the dreamer. So like when you find the people that bounce off of you, and you're able to do more together because you know each other's strengths and challenges. When I got these guys together, I said, you guys, I am horrible at creating systems but you guys are detail-oriented people who create systems, and once I'm in the system, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so knowing like what works well for you is really great. Alexis had a question. Let's bring her comment back up. Is there any way that the public can support MNSHAPE? What do you think? As our MNSHAPE president, how would you answer that question?
I think I know Lexi, she's not like a PE or health teacher, but I think just to support not only MNSHAPE, but the profession of being a health and PE teacher and adapted PE teacher. I think just, really challenging people. If, you ever hear someone calling someone a gym teacher, or like, oh, those who like the sayings were like, oh, those who can't teach, like teach PE, like those ones, like just really challenging them and saying like, no, like my friend, she's a PE teacher. She's an adapted PE teacher. She is a professional. They're really changing people's lives. And so I think for just like the public is just not only supporting our statewide organization, but also like our profession and us being professionals, period, I think can really make that big shift. Because I feel like we're still kind of fighting those, what's it called?
Stereotypes.
Yeah.
And I think too, like advocating for us, like when something happens and it goes well in your kids' PE classes, emailing the admin and say, hey, this was really, really cool. This teacher did a really good job. Advocating for your kids' PE teacher and adapted PE teacher would be a great way to start. Also, it just makes PE teacher feel pretty good.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to bring my slides back up. So I'm just going to do a little switchy here. There we go. Okay, there's your cute little picture. Love it. Woohoo. And so I have to tell you, I got a special message from somebody and I'm going to read it to you real quick. It's from your teacher, Lisa. So I asked her, I was like, can you like give me a video or email and tell me like why you're so proud of Annika? And this is what she wrote. She gave it to me this morning. And Lisa says, my pride in Annika Culver is genuinely boundless, and it begins long before her career role as MNSHAPE president. I first met her in 2012 when I coached her in basketball at Proctor High School. And even then, her maturity, insight, and impeccable fashion sense stood out. She wasn't just talented. She possessed an incredible hunger for growth, whether that was in sports like basketball, cheerleading, and track, or in her service and academic pursuits. This drive led her to become a foundational member of my first ever unified PE class at Proctor, where she helped lay the groundwork for a legacy that continues in Minnesota today. The moment that solidified her path was toward the end of her senior year when she walked into my office and simply said, I want to be you. I was speechless and deeply humbled. My response was a challenge. Go to Winona State, major in health PE, get your DAPE license, maybe a coaching minor, be the president of HOPE and PE clubs, and attend every MNSHAPE state and SHAPE national conference. Annika's immediately response was, sounds good. It was classic. And she didn't just meet the challenge, she thrived. During her time at WSU, she became a national champion in rugby and grew even more into the remarkable human she is today, ultimately fulfilling her promise by serving MNSHAPE as an undergraduate and now incredibly as president. I remember the full circle moment of her first job offer. We were in Colorado for the Central District Leadership Summit, and she had done the interview driving there. After filming a mock lesson in a university courtyard, I watched through a window as she took the call from Edina Schools. Getting to share that triumphant hug was a moment I will never forget. Annika, to say I am proud is an understatement. The work you've done at Edina is nothing short of amazing, and your teachers adore you. Your students adore you. And your inclusive heart is a gift to the profession. This is truly just the beginning for you, and I have no doubt that your career will be something absolutely special. I'm honored to call you a colleague and fortunate to call you a lifelong friend. Lisa. Wasn't that so sweet? She's so great.
That was so sweet. And I was sitting here laughing because I was like, that was funny how what she said, like I had also
lines right up.
And I was like, these were the moments. And she's like, those were the moments.
Yes. I love how that has to be such a like powerful thing. Like if you're both communicating the same things, like about these moments, like how powerful it was for her and how powerful it was for you to like
Yeah, it's cool seeing it from her perspective. Like, hopefully one day as a teacher, like I have that moment too when my student sits down and it's like, I want to be like you, and just saying, here's what you do, and they go off and they do it, and they do even more. So thank you, Lisa. That was really kind.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to start wrapping it up here. And I want to just talk about takeaways from this podcast. We always talk about, what our kids are getting out of our lessons and what they're taking away. And just thinking in this moment of what I'm taking away today is just the reminder, like, we have teachers that are young, that are rookies, and they need veteran help. And so for us to just continue to be open to mentoring, to when they look like they need help, we can ask, do you need some help? And just always having kind of an open door, or like just be willing to return text messages, whatever it is, like helping you guys do well so that you can thrive is always in the back of my mind. We talked about full circle moments today, and how your full circle moments as a student and Lisa's full circle moments as teachers, like how they kind of intertwine and how powerful that is. We talked about conventions and state conferences, and how those national conferences are so important, and what memories we had from those, and how they kind of stick with us. Every national convention kind of has its own personality and memories. And so we have both of those. We just shared some of our favorites from that. And so I kind of want to know, what are your takeaways, Annika, from today?
I think my biggest takeaway, like still being a newer teacher, is I know I still have a lot of learning. And Jen, you even mentioned this already, but just, once you find that go-to person, and if you are someone's go-to person, just always being open for ideas and for questions, because I feel like I wouldn't be the teacher I am without like those key people as like my sounding board, as my go-to for questions, and them being patient and just like willing to brainstorm ideas with me and work through things. And I'm obviously as someone who needs to know why things happen, why things are like this, and, giving them all that information that you can. And so I think if you're, a seasoned or a veteran teacher, just know that like a newer teacher appreciates, questions answered and a little bit of patience as we navigate this newer era of teaching, especially in your first 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is, like, even though you're young, a young teacher, you have so much knowledge to share, even because just getting involved in MNSHAPE as soon as possible was a really big deal for you. And I think a lot of us kind of don't recognize what MNSHAPE can and does do for not only the state of Minnesota, but when you join the leadership committee, if you have the opportunity to do that, it really shapes who you are. Again, you talked about knowing the reasons why things are like that, having a good answer, being able to advocate when people ask, well, why is it like that? Or just being able to understand the background and why we've come to this decision, or why MNSHAPE gives decisions, or why it's built like that. So get involved with your college leadership, get involved with MNSHAPE. If you're in Wisconsin, WHPE, your national organizations is super, super important. Thank you so much for sharing that today. We are going to hop forward and say thank you to some people real quick. Thank you to our sponsor, Fit and Fun Playscape. Sponsor was the word I was trying to get at the beginning of this podcast. It was not coming to me, but we got it now. So thank you to Fit and Fun Playscapes, our 25-26 sponsor. And moving forward, here are some opportunities where you can follow us on social media. We're on X at Heartbeats of Adapted PE. And then we're on Blue Sky at Heartbeats of APE at bluesky.social. And you can always email us at heartbeatsofadaptedpe@gmail.com. You can watch and interact live on YouTube as we're finishing up right now. You can still put comments out. But if you go to YouTube and search at Heartbeats of Adapted PE podcast, you'll find us there. under the live streams. And then this event is also happening in the Health and Physical Education Collective. And Shape America also carries our YouTube in the live streams, or Shape America also carries our podcast on their YouTube page in the live streams as well. So thank you so much for following us today. You can also, I'm slowly but surely adding our episodes to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So you can look for those there. Our early episodes are loaded up until episode 4. And thank you to all of our followers and our listeners. And if you're watching live, thank you for watching live. And if you're rewatching, thanks for watching us later. Annika, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. I love that we got into a lot of the heart behind what we do, but celebrated the beats of our daily life here as adapted PE and PE teachers.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, friends. Hope to see you for episode 9.